usually goes through that thought process. So let's get back, because I didn't actually answer
Sorry.
the question.
Okay.
So the answer is you start earning at the bargained rate from the day you wire your funds. So we prepare all of the loan documents for execution by the borrower. The borrower goes to the title company, executes everything. The title company, when they're ready to insure the transaction, they call us and say we're ready for lender funds. We alert our lender, and this all happens very, very quickly, within a few days. We're talking about a 3 or 4 day process from document creation, execution,
So they're not,
to
their money is
funding,
not
to
sitting
closing.
idle.
No,
doing
well, it
nothing.
doesn't sit. Yeah, well, it's sitting idle to the extent that they have liquid funds in their bank account that they've decided they want to invest in a trustee secured
Sure.
note. But once they've decided, based on the document that we've sent them for distribution, once they've called me and said, hey, I like that funding opportunity you sent me, can I get some more information? Can I get a copy of the credit report or the loan application or the appraisal? They'll get that information, and generally, again, it tends to be a pretty quick decision-making process. A lot of my investors kind of know the routine now, and so within a few days, they will generally, someone will commit to that loan. We'll draw the loan documents in their name. The documents get executed by the borrower, and then we're ready for them to wire their funds to the title company. So the day they wire their funds to the title company is the day it starts earning interest at the investor yield. And the investor yield is typically the note rate minus 1%. So if it's an 11% note, they're earning at 10%.
Very fair.
I have a couple questions for you, Mark.
Absolutely.
Are these first and position loans, or are they seconds, or sometimes even thirds? And two, does each investor have to take the whole loan, or do you sometimes put 2 or 3 investors together to take over a loan?
At Pacific, last year, 2011, which we just closed out, we did nearly 160 loans. Of those 160 loans, I would say only 10 were seconds. The rest were firsts. We have it's really a different market today than, say, 10 years ago. If you invested in deeds of trust 10 years ago, it was highly likely. I mean, it was almost guaranteed you were doing seconds. Bank financing was so easy to get that just about anybody could get a bank loan, and generally speaking, you were looking for a second if you had bad credit. So most of the loans today that we do are first position loans.
And again, the investor gets to choose whether or not he wants to do the loan.
Some
so
seconds make
getting
sense.
in, yeah.
If there's a super low first on the property, and maybe
Yeah.
it's got it's 4% rate and they want to keep it, and the combined loan to value is, say, 50% or less with that second, then oftentimes we'll underwrite a second. So the answer to the second question is, we generally like to do one lender to one loan. I have a lot of fairly sophisticated trustee investors who prefer to own the whole note, and our average loan size is about $200,000. The vast majority of the 160 loans we did last year fell between $100,000 and $300,000, with the median being right around $200,000 to $225,000. So most of our investors are well heeled enough in their investable funds to take that whole note. But that won't say that we don't do fractional lending, because we do. We've done loans close to, say, $1 million, and maybe we have 4 or 5 investors who want to go into that in fractional. So we do both.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mark. We are going to cut to our third and final trivia question. His death on MASH ushered in Colonel Sherman Potter. Who was it? In other words, who's the guy who died in order to usher in
Indeed.
Sherman Potter? The first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouseforfun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. His death on the TV show MASH ushered in Colonel Sherman Potter. Who was it? Call 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name, address, email address, and phone number, and we will be right back.
Excellent. I'm going to blow that one. I don't remember.
You don't remember that one?
I
The
know
only
his
one I
face.
remember is Hawkeye. That's not him.
Well, I'm remembering the face of the Colonel before Potter,
That's
who
right.
was a little bit more of a,
Less army.
less army. Yeah, he's more of a jokey kind of guy, and I can't remember his
have to wait.
And of course there was, and then there was BJ's sidekick who changed. There was BJ Honeycutt at first, and then
Trapper John was before that.
Trapper John was
Trapper
first,
John
and
was
BJ was
first, yeah.
second. That's right. But the one on who preceded Colonel Potter? Dang.
Alan Alda.
No. No.
No.
NASCAR. That would be Brian's answer.
Yeah, NASCAR. I know, I gotta get a NASCAR question in for him. Poor guy.
What was the gal's name? What was her character?
Oh,
The
Hot
blonde,
Lips
Hot
Houlihan.
Lips Houlihan, yeah.
That was the one that we all used to tape. That was pre-TiVo. We used to have
Yeah, the
backup tapes. and
VHS.
Watch MASH every night, MASH reruns.
Yeah.
Peter, can
You
you
can see it.
pull your headsets and just like
Channel
What?
72.
Pull your headsets.
So it was
to
MASH
like-
reruns, then
Yeah.
it was Cheers
That's-
reruns,
That way we know we're on break.
Okay.
and
Thank
then
you.
it was,
Sorry, I'm not a professional at this stuff.
Mine are so small,
Neither
you can't
am
tell
I.
anyway. Neither are you, yeah. Okay, then I'll read the question, we'll do the answer, and then I'll get the special trivia.
oh, okay, good. And I've got some stuff on the housing market, which is kind of interesting article.
Oh, good,
So-
okay.
What kind of advertising are you gonna do if you got 56 minutes?
Not,
Well-
Yeah, you built your own in already.
No, well, no, for
No.
the show here, it's filled in with this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
On the radio, they have the commercials all set.
Yeah, but it's only 4 minutes of them? This is an hour program, right?
Yeah, we don't know, what happens is they take, so many minutes, they
Yeah.
take like 8 minutes, so it's really 52. And so from the 52, we'll have about 6 to 10 minutes of advertising, because a couple of people dropped off, so I took them out. That gives us more time to talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
I
so,
didn't bring my my new 30-second spot again today. I was manic to get down here in time. But so thanks for those questions. Those were good.
yeah, those are really good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, I
Do you have
just
a
was
you have a familiarity with the industry?
Well, not, it's not something I specialize in, but yeah, when you have a small law firm, you wind up doing lots of
Welcome,
different
you're listening to the
things.
best
So,
of
yeah.
investing. This is the
Actually,
show.
Jeff Lurman and his wife are in my stable of investors. Jeff, being a real estate attorney, he's actually pretty bullish on that. Apparently, particularly since he had made several purchases in the last few years that didn't really pan out, and what many former real estate investors are finding, that the difference between what they were making by like buying and flipping or investing, the yields they were seeing weren't that much more, and sometimes even less than they could get by just lending the money to somebody else.
Yeah, let
you
them
know?
take the risk.
Right, so if you can get 10% and forget about it and work on something completely different, or buy, fix, and flip and spend all your time and energy on that and make 15%, I don't know that it's worth it, that
No,
extra
no.
5%, because you can go out and make money elsewhere. So,
And are a lot of these people investors that are trying to buy it and flip it, or are they just people that are short cash right now, or you don't know, or
the borrowers? The borrowers are the borrowers are guys that, generally speaking, aren't awash in cash, or they're talented rehabbers. Some of them are contractors. This is what
Yeah.
they do.
Yeah.
So they've been
They need
doing
the
it
money,
for
yeah.
years. They did it in the heyday of the early 2000s, and now they're doing it again. Taking advantage of the fact that you can buy properties so dirt cheap now. The biggest challenge today is that there are an awful lot of people out there buying REO property, and because prices have continued to fall in the last year, what's happened is people have bought, fixed and flipped, put it back on the market, and are making substantially less than they calculated.
Yeah.
And this
That's
is even
dangerous.
guys who are sophisticated are finding that, because if you bought the property, let's say, and this is a typical scenario, is it's spring 2011, you're running around making offers on property, you finally get one, goes into escrow, you come to someone like me to get a hard money loan to help you purchase the property, you close, takes a couple of months for that all to happen, then you're working on the property, you put it on the market. Properties that went on the market in the fourth quarter of 2011, a lot of them remain unsold. So here we are, it's January, you're trying to sell property you acquired in the first half of 2011, and
Your loan's
housing,
coming due.
well, and yeah, your loans go. Well, the housing prices in some markets have fallen as much as 10%. In that, and there goes your margin. So you're now looking at making, you know, a fraction of a return, as opposed to maybe the $30,000 to $50,000 profit you were hoping to make. Now you're looking at maybe squeaking out 10, if even any. So it's anyway, it's an interesting market. If you've got a sharp pencil and a fast crew, there's always good money to be made in real estate if you can work in, you know, 120-day chunks, 90 to 120-day chunks of time. But if you've got a project that's run long, you know, you're not real happy right now. Yeah.
Okay, you guys ready?
We're ready.
Okay. Here we go. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hanf of Pacific Private Money. When we cut to the third break, we asked this trivia question. His death on MASH ushered in Colonel Sherman Potter. Anybody?
No, you stumped the
Co-host
co-host
and the guest.
Yeah.
Colonel Henry Blake.
Blake, that
Oh
was
yeah,
it.
remember he died
Yeah.
over the Sea of Japan?
I could see his face in my mind, but I couldn't remember the name.
Okay, now we had a special trivia contest a couple of weeks ago. We were preempted last week by Cal Basketball, so we weren't able to give the answer. But first of all, the Fairmont Sonoma Mission Inn is the ultimate wine destination, wine country destination.
Indeed it is.
It sure is. Blessed by natural mineral hot springs in the heart of California wine country, the destination resort is home to the Willow Stream Spa and Resort is pleased to present special wine country packages that look after all the details of your vacation, from accommodations to Sonoma vacation packages catered to the discerning travelers and guarantee the total Fairmont experience. You can call them at 707-938-9000 or visit them at www.fairmont.com/Sonoma.
I've gone there in my mind. Just
Let's go.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's a fantastic place. And here was the special trivia contest question. There were 6 Rocky movies.
Proclamation. Man, you're 60.
Name each opponent and whether Rocky won or lost. Here's the answer. Now, most people knew in Rocky 1 that Rocky lost to Apollo Creed.
Yep.
They also got that in Rocky 2, Rocky beat Apollo Creed. Most also knew that in Rocky 3, Rocky lost to Clubber Lang, Mr. T, and then beat Clubber Lang. Then we started to drop off. In Rocky 4, Rocky beats Drago,
That's
the Russian.
right,
Russian.
Drago.
Right? And then Rocky did not fight in the ring in Rocky 5.
Oh.
In Rocky 6, the movie Rocky Balboa, not Rocky 38, he wears Depends. You know, that's getting way out there. Okay. Rocky then loses to Mason the Line Dixon. And now it got really tricky. Most people forgot that in Rocky's first fight in the ring was against Spider Rico, which Rocky wins. So thus, his record was 4 wins, 3 losses. Almost everybody forgot about that fight. But the winner was Jim from San Francisco, and congratulations. And
Wow,
Mark,
that's good.
That's pretty good.
What
Okay.
about Rambo?
Yeah, that's a whole other series.
Yeah.
Okay, Mark, tell us what else is going on in real estate.
Well, it's it was an interesting 2011, and it's the beginning of the year, and we're looking forward to 2012, and most of us who are real estate investors and looking at the market, and of course, real estate is such an important component to the recovery of our economy, and so a lot of people are wondering, well, what's the outlook ahead? And I read an interesting article this week that and it was written by a gentleman who's written quite a few articles this past year. In fact, he works with First Tuesday, which is a leading source of California real estate information, and he works in their department that charts trends in the industry. And he had an article that the first part of the article just talked about November home sales. Okay, well, pretty much 2011 was a year of it goes up, then it goes down, then it goes up, then it goes down. They call it kind of the washboard effect. And it's really been a flat, slightly declining market looking backwards. And,
Get whipsawed.
you know, what's it going to take to change that? I mean, can we look ahead to 2012 to be a similar year? You know, another washboard effect, a little bit up, a little bit down, maybe trending even a little bit downward, because again, no one really knows. You know, where is the bottom? Have we hit the bottom? Are we going to trend up? But
what does your crystal ball say?
Well, you know, my crystal ball's always been a little bit on the dirty side, unfortunately. But you know, again, I try to study.
Keep it clean. Keep it clean.
I try to study by reading these blogs from other people who are, you know, hopefully a lot smarter than I am when it comes to some of this stuff. And I found his reasoning pretty interesting, and the statistics behind what he thought. And he doesn't really predict one direction or another, other than to say that really, if you look back on previous real estate recessions and what it took to, you know, come out of them and to find appreciate and to have real estate appreciate once more, it's really comes down to jobs. And we've talked about that on this show previously. Is that, you know, really only he says here, only statewide employment gains of, and he throws out a number, 400,000 or more jobs annually for a couple of years, as took place in the late 1990s, can produce a full recovery for California's